I am LisaSaper-Bloom, founder of 123 Go Solo. This is the Online Prosperity Show, and in this episode, we will embark on a journey and adventure of solo travel, and I will take you through my own journey and tell you how you can go about embarking on yours.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your premium destination for exclusive insights into personal and professional growth. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we have a truly inspiring guest whose journey will not only enlighten you, but also entertain you. Now, Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here with you, Prosper. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Lisa, I've heard a lot about you, and I'm just dying to hear your side of the story. I've heard you've jumped out of a perfectly good plane.
A perfectly good one. Yep. It got me up. I jumped and I landed safely.
Oh my God. All right. So for those that are watching right now, you might be wondering, what are we on about? I want you to imagine this. You see, Lisa here, she once leapt out of a plane just to celebrate her 50th birthday. And if there was any way for her to see if she was still alive, I think that was just taking it to another height. And if that doesn't make your last birthday party just seem like a tad, mundane, I don't know what will. But see, I'm about to be 50 and a few years to come. So you've actually set the bar up high, and literally, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm gonna have to jump off of that bar though, Lisa, so that I can come back to reality.
I think it was about 14,000 feet. It wasn't like commercial flight 30,000. It was more like 14,000, I believe, is where we jumped from. Yeah. And the guy that I tandemed with, he was originally from Brazil. And, I have it on video. They kept asking me, "Are you nervous?" And I was like, "No, I'm still not nervous." And they even told me, they're like, "You're not normal." And so I believe that on the way up, the fact that I wasn't nervous and the fact that they knew that I had yoga in my background for almost 25 years, we leapt, like, I imagined that we were going to go out going forward or like sitting down and scooting out. But as you see on my website in that photo, he cartwheeled out of the plane. We went head first. I had no idea that was coming. But you know what? Once you've hit that air, you don't know up from down anyway. So you just go with it. You just breathe.
Yeah, but with yoga, at least you're centered in the ground. You've got your downward, pose, or your dog or whatever. Everything has the ground involved. I can only imagine how you would have been trying to scatter for.
So you free fall for about 60 seconds. And you're not thinking about the time, right? All you're thinking, or at least what I was thinking, some people that I've talked to say that they black out for that minute. I remember that minute, and my jowls were like flapping, and and you can see it on the video that they take too. I mean, for anybody that's going to go skydiving, your first dive should definitely be on video, because you relive that moment, and maybe you don't remember it and you can actually see it. And it's comical, it's exciting, I don't even know. I look back, because that was almost 4 years ago now, or it was actually almost 4 years to the day. I think I went St. Patrick's Day, which here in the US anyway, St. Patrick's Day is March 17th. Yeah. And so I did that 4 years ago. That's when I turned 50. When I turned 40, I said to myself, when I turn 50, I'm jumping out of a plane. And Prosper, I have no idea why I said it, but I said it. And I held myself accountable to those words. And about 3 months before I turned 50, I was like, oh, I have about 3 months to get it together and figure out how I'm doing this so that I can hold myself accountable to those words. And
Absolutely.
that's what I did.
I love how, first of all, you really remember everything that was happening and you were literally going through those motions, but also enjoying it all at the same time, which really taps into the whole fear is only glorified excitement. And this is where so many people get caught. And I'm really happy you've shared this with us, because so many people just get stuck and they don't go out and experience things the way that you have experienced it there. But thank you so much. And for those that are watching, obviously this is a tale, that leaves to be told. And what I just learned from Lisa's story there is, whatever you're going through right now, pay attention, because one day you'll have a good story to tell on the Online Prosperity Show. So beyond her adventures and the adventurous spirit that Lisa has just spoken to us about, she's actually dedicated over a decade to empowering women worldwide to embrace solo travel. And as the founder of 123 Go Solo, it sounds like a cheerleader type slogan, Lisa actually combines her rich background in massage therapy, aromatherapy, yoga instruction, life coaching to help women overcome their fears and embark on solo adventures. Now, Lisa, obviously we've spoken about, you're jumping out of the plane, but you mentioned a time when you were 40 and you decided 50 was the time you were going to do it. What was happening in your life that, warranted that you needed that bit of a jolt in your life, maybe to feel alive?
I have to say that I'm not sure what it was about turning 50 that was like, I have to jump out of a plane, but it was right around 40 where I do feel was a very pivotal time for me. I look back and I can call it a midlife crisis, where there were several things happening in my life. My mom was just diagnosed with cancer. Now, fast forward, she's fine. They caught it in plenty of time. They got it. She's alive. She's great. Everything's well. But at that time, we didn't know that, right? And my older sister had been diagnosed with MS. My husband and I were not doing well financially. I had a person in my life that I was very close to, and I didn't know why, but he had backed off from our friendship for a while. There was just all these different things going on, and I was just like, what's happening here, right? Like, I'm usually a very centered, very, open yet focused individual, and I just couldn't make sense of anything. And so I found that like my thoughts were going downward spiraling, and that's not me. So I had to like kind of zoom out and see myself and say, okay, you can either go this downward spiral and like start hating life, or you can find something bigger than you. And that's when I decided to go through this NGO, this non-governmental organization out of Canada, to Uganda that turned out to be Shanti Uganda, a safe birth house in Uganda. And I decided I was going to raise money for myself to go, because again, I was in financial restraints at the time, I guess we can call it. And so I taught yoga class, raising money literally to get a plane ticket to go volunteer in Uganda and work in a safe birth house that was run by Ugandan midwives. And I brought, massage to them. There was a lot of yoga basis, but I continued, that part of it for them, in doing yoga with women who were about to give birth, that were, heading toward labor and into labor. And then what really astounded them was the essential oils from aromatherapy. Truly. So I remember my first day at the safe birth house, and I was working with a woman named Angel. She was going into labor, or she was close to labor. And I was showing the midwives the yoga stretches, what we could do with massage and aromatherapy. So little did I know. So when a woman truly goes into labor, like when they're, I don't want any part of it, Prosper. That's not my area of expertise. I've never been there myself, and I don't need to be a part of that. But I love to help women get there. And so Angel, went on with the midwives. She went through her birthing process, and I had gone back to the volunteer house. And this was literally my first day, my very first day. And so the project manager comes back to the house, and she was like, well, I heard you had an epic day. And I was like, I don't know if I would call it epic, but it was a great day. And she was like, well, Angel had her baby, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just left the birth house like an hour and a half ago. Like, I didn't know that she gave birth. So it was a really rapid, okay. So when people are not part of like the westernized world, they don't have like these birth plans and all these expectations with their doctors and all of these expectations with technology and the way that you should be giving birth and the way that it should look and all the things, right? These women just kind of like put their trust into this natural process. And because of that, it is my belief anyway, because of that, things like aromatherapy, they didn't question it. And so it just went that much easier and smoother and faster because they weren't blocked by their own fears about it all. So, it turned into quote unquote an epic day, which I didn't really realize. And when I went back to the birth house the day after, the Sister Mary, who was, the head midwife, comes up to me and she said, Lisa, where are the oils? The first thing she said to me when I walked up. And I was like, well, good morning, Sister Mary. How are you? I was like, I have the oils in my backpack. They're with me. Like, we could do this, But they were I think they thought those oils were truly magic.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I mean, not a lot of people have, like you say, like a birth plan or things of that nature, that it is a natural process. And half of the kids in Africa are usually born closer to the hospital because they didn't even know they were actually going to be getting to labor. Most people that I know will probably just be born under a tree, which is maybe a few meters away from the actual hospital, so to speak. So wow, that's an epic tale for Angel, who was in labor.
Yeah.
But Lisa, I mean, for you to get to that event, you would have maybe had somewhat of a life or background or story that leads us to that, because that's you at 40. But where did it all begin? What was Lisa like as her on?
So I do feel like that was the pivotal moment, because I did get on a plane by myself not by myself for the first time, but by myself heading out of the country, like going through London. Like, I've just never been across the pond, we say. So I had never been across the pond, but not only was I going 9 hours on a flight across the pond, but then I was going an additional 9 hours to get to Entebbe. But when I got to London, I had a 9 hour layover. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. And I got on a tube and I went to Piccadilly Circus, that stop on the tube. And I fortunately, a good friend of mine had a mutual friend who lived in London at the time. I didn't even know from an international phone plan, so I had turned my phone off. I got into a classic red phone booth. I didn't even know the currency. I'm just putting coins in, right, until I got a dial tone. And then I called this girl that I've never met in my life and told her where I was just by like giving landmarks and the tube stop that I took. She met me. I sat in a bar in a pub before she got there. I had fish and chips because my husband was like, you can't go to London and not have fish and chips.
Yeah.
So I had fish and chips and I journaled waiting for her. She met me. We walked around and, you know, I had tea because I didn't think that I could be in London without having tea. And then got back on the tube and went, you know, back to the airport, went to Entebbe, and it was the whole journey from there. So that was the first like time that I truly felt like I traveled solo. However, I say all that, and I think back in my journey in life and what has led me here, which is really your question. I got on a plane for the first time by myself, Prosper, when I was in 6th grade.
Right. And where were you?
I wanted to go to Florida. I wanted to go see my cousins. I wanted to go swim in the pool, right? I grew up in Chicago, so Florida was like a big deal. And my parents agreed to it. And at the time, like parents could like sit with their young traveler till the plane gets to the gate. They can tell the airline attendants, you know, like my child is traveling by themselves, and like they would keep an extra eye on them. And then boom, I was out at the gate and my aunt was waiting for me at the gate. But, you know, 6th grade, that was 1980. I don't even know what. So, you know, I do think back and I'm like, what were these pivotal moments? When did I start solo travel? And I can honestly say I got on a plane by myself when I was in 6th grade.
Absolutely. Not a lot of people will be able to, you know, say that. And some people can't even make their own breakfast, let alone, you know, do something.
Right.
All right.
Truly.
With all that being said, you know, you had that 9 hour layover in London that you have, you know, generously shared with us. What were you leaving behind? Because you keep mentioning your husband and, you know, wasn't there work involved? What were you leaving behind en route to Uganda? And how long had you pledged to stay there for?
So I stayed for 30 days. I stayed for the full month of September. This was 2012. I stayed for 30 days and I had just gotten a new puppy. So my husband wasn't thrilled that he had to deal with the puppy all by himself. You know, puppyhood is rough. It keeps you awake at night. But, you know, I really, other than Steve, my husband, who was on board with this, you know, I was freelancing at the time with massage therapy and yoga. And so I wasn't leaving a full-time job behind. I wasn't leaving kids. I wasn't leaving, you know, I had that escapism from, you know, that tumbleweed, so to speak, of things going on in life. And again, like I just I could have downward spiraled with the whole thing, or I could have done something bigger than me, which is what I chose.
I love that, because so many people get caught up in their own little world. But in life, I really believe we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. And obviously, Angel has a totally different story right now in her village of the experience that you created for her without you even sort of realizing. But before you founded 123 Go Solo, you are alluding to the fact that you were doing, healing arts, massage therapy, aromatherapy, yoga, and things of that nature. Now, how do these all combine now to empowering females to travel by themselves?
So I would say that yoga is really about a shift in mind, body, and soul, right? Yoga is the yolk. That is truly what yoga means. It is that synergy. Mind, body, and soul are connected. And so with life coaching, rounding that out. I mean, I did massage because that's where the money was. Massage is a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong, but like yoga was the true passion, and life coaching. Before I got into yoga, I thought that I was going to go into like marriage and family therapy. To be honest with you, I thought that I was going to go into counseling and be a therapist of sorts. But the universe led me differently. And, a huge part of yoga is if you can work through the postures and your breath while on your mat, you're essentially working through challenges in your body, which translates when you're off the mat to challenges in life, right? And we learn to breathe through the discomfort. And so again, rounding that out with the skills of life coaching really evolved into helping people. And I wasn't a counselor or a therapist sitting across a desk from somebody or in a chair across a chair from somebody. And I'm not putting that down, don't get me wrong. It wasn't me. So my soul called me to do it differently. And that's how the universe led me. And I followed. And for the last 8 years, because I had to take myself out of the healing arts because my own body was beginning to hurt. And I'm like, this is so ironic. Like I can't say fixing, but I was helping people get better. But my body was taking on all this hurt that it didn't ever have. So I had to pull away from that. And I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going back to school. I already have the bachelor's degree. Like, I already went back for trade school. Like, I'm not going back to school. What kind of skills do I have? And I landed at Phoenix College, where I currently work full time. And I teach an aromatherapy class. But I also, my full-time work is in the Vice President of Student Affairs office, or the Vice President of Student Affairs, obviously. And while I'm so appreciative of that work, there's two things going on. One is, what am I going to do when I retire to like supplement the, oh my gosh, why am I not thinking? The pension that I will receive. And the other is, where is my soul's work? Because I fed my soul through yoga and massage and aromatherapy and life coaching. And so what happened, if we can like fast forward, to the now, is I went on a solo vacation last June to Kauai. And when I got back, well, I like to travel. So it's very hot here in Arizona, right? It's 110 plus degrees. I don't know what that translates to in Celsius. I think 30 something.
Yeah.
um, but it's extremely hot. So, I like to get away in June and I like to get away in July. And I had gotten back from Hawaii. I had joined a Facebook group of female solo travelers. I had a trip potentially planned to Canada in July, but Canada fell through, and then a couple other things fell through. And I was like, okay, there's a reason that the universe, again, because I listen, is keeping me here in July when I'm miserable. When the weather is just tough and I hate it. I hate, And so I was like, okay, well, I can create something for myself here. I'm still going to take a week off and I'm going to, I created what I call a spacation. And I went to a different spa every day. And by the end of that week, Prosper, I was buzzing, right? Like I don't know how to describe it to people who don't spa or like don't receive body work on a regular basis. But like, yeah, it goes back to like the yoga, right? It's body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
So I was cleared out, detoxed, however you want to put it, on all levels. And so my system, my being was truly buzzing. And so, I'm experienced at solo travel, and I had just gotten into that Facebook group, and I realized that there were two different kinds of women in this group. People like me who jump in, just go for it. And then the other would be people who fear it. And so with this openness, with this buzz, I realized I can take my passion of solo travel and I can combine it with life coaching. I've been certified since 2005. Let's marry the two and let's get women going on these solo adventures, because travel changes and transforms people.
Oh, absolutely.
It truly does. The stories that I'm sitting here telling you wouldn't be possible if I didn't travel.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. See, that's why I said, people really need to get to different places. That way they would have a good story to tell. No, a lot of people, like you said, in those particular groups have this fear of traveling alone. I mean, due to...
Right. So I was finding that there were women that were in this group to be inspired to travel solo. So I'm thinking to myself, why not be that person that helps women get past the fear, because something in them is wanting to do it. They wouldn't have joined the Facebook group if they didn't, right? Something in them is wanting to do it, but something bigger is holding them back. So let's identify the fear and or fears. And that's what we do in the first of, that is the one of the 1, 2, 3, go solo, right? So the 1, 2, 3 is 3 coaching sessions, and then you're ready, you're going. And I want to be very clear that I'm not a travel agent. I'm not a travel advisor. I don't put people on planes, right? That's not what I do. I am the person who helps them preemptively get over their fears. And I provide a network and resources. So if there's any travel planners, travel advisors listening to this podcast right now, I invite you to reach out to me because I want people that I can trust in my network to be the person that can help a client of mine take that dream vacation to the Maldives, take that dream vacation to, Dubai. I'm not the expert in all of these areas. I don't specialize in every single niche of the travel world, and I'm not going to pretend to. So I want to help the person get over the fear and have the resources to set them up to be successful and go. So that they can start feeling that transformation within themselves. They can feel empowered in themselves. They can start their own travel adventure and stories. They can one day sit with you because maybe they had some sort of epiphany from their travels, right? Like, who knows? It's so open to endless opportunity. We don't know. But if we go, we'll learn. And what's that quote? They say, we meet ourselves when we travel, or travel is where we meet ourselves.
Absolutely. You see,
right?
Just looking at your 9-hour layover, I mean, obviously in terms of people would understand, you were literally by definition a rookie. You were
totally.
That was the first time you were in that space. At least they spoke the language that you understood, but everything, you had to look around and pay attention, whereas so many people are just going through the motions of being in the place they were born. Nothing has changed, and the people that they talk to have only just gotten hairs that are a little bit grayer than they were, but it's still the same people, and there hasn't been any bit of a change in the person that they have become. But there's a lot of transformation that happens when you travel, and I can attest to that. Have you had maybe you call them student or a traveler that has worked with you, who has used your service at 123 Go Solo and has either really transformed their life, and that sort of experience has maybe resonated with you and reinforced and committed you more to your mission?
So I was just talking yesterday with somebody who just took their first solo travel. She lives here in Arizona. And I will say this, I want to back up for just a second. It doesn't have to be an epic adventure to travel solo, right? You can do a week spacation and get to know yourself for a week in a spa right in your home area, right? But because you're by yourself, it's a whole different experience than, making the plans for the kids, making the plans for the husband, making the plans for the friends, everybody's opinion matters. It's just about you. And that's what's empowering about it. Every decision is yours to make. You could take a nap in the middle of the day. None of it matters. You do what you want when you want, and it's all your call. And so for this particular individual that I was following up with yesterday, she just went what I would refer to as next door. She went to San Francisco, California, right? Part of her fear was that she was going to be bored after a few days. Okay, well then let's make your trip 3 days long. Do you think that you can handle 3 days? Is 3 days comfortable of an idea for you? So, it turns out she wished she had gone for longer, and she did all of these wonderful things. She went to an NBA, a national basketball
game.
Oh my gosh, NBA. Why am I spacing what NBA stands for? But she went to an NBA game by herself. She went to Fisherman's Wharf. She went to Ghirardelli Chocolate. She did all of the touristy things that she wanted. She was on the boat. She saw the Bay Bridge. She saw the Golden Gate Bridge, just things that were important to her. And she told me this yesterday. She said that like some of the selfies that she took of herself and sent to her father said, "I've never seen you look so fresh."
Ooh, that's, yeah, yeah.
And she said when she first got there, when she first stepped into her Airbnb, she had to take a moment because it was a moment for her. She did it. She didn't have to, she didn't have to wait for anybody. She didn't have to depend on anybody. She did this. She is the reason she stepped into that Airbnb. She is the reason that she had these excursions in front of her that she was excited about. And nothing else mattered in that moment. The full-time work didn't matter. All the life stuff didn't matter. What mattered was the moment. And that's what she felt. And that is what her father saw in those photographs that she took of herself along the way. So, does it have to be like this total epiphany? No. But that being said, right now I'm working with somebody who, the I don't know if you want to call it the fear, but the challenge is, her spouse taking it personally that she wants to travel on her own. And the shift in mind frame is, it's not about not wanting him to be there. It's about her wanting to feel confident in herself, in her abilities, in being able to do it by herself. I'm working with somebody else right now that is going through a lot of health problems. And she has been, actually, we have been to the same retreat in Costa Rica. And that feeling when you're on retreat, that's what she wants to connect with right now, is that feeling, because she's feeling so lousy from what's going on with her health right now. And so in our first session, she was talking about, wanting, like she's been cleared to fly. She's been cleared, to go travel on her own. And so the plan wasn't the plan of, okay, well, what are you going to do when you get here? It was more, what is the plan if you start to feel lousy? What is the plan for if you start to feel disoriented? What is that plan? In addition to, okay, where do you feel comfortable going right now? Do you really feel comfortable getting on a plane, being in airports, being by yourself in another state? We ruled out another country at this point. And not that she hasn't been to another country, because I just mentioned Costa Rica. She would do it. However, right now, with what's happening in her life, we need to kind of backtrack a little and see where she can find that same retreat feeling without going so far. So, at first we were thinking something, again, next door, like Utah, maybe California. But in her second session, she realized that even that seemed a little daunting. So, I kept saying, we are the Mecca here in Arizona of world-renowned spas. Like, it's okay to maybe you're more comfortable getting in a car for an hour and a half and going up north to Sedona, where, again, world-renowned travelers come from all over the world to see Sedona. Maybe go find a retreat there in Sedona. People come. I mean, when Oprah mentions something, right, we know that people follow. So years and years and years ago, she was down in Tucson at Miraval Spa with Gail. And so people love Miraval Spa. So I'm like, we have that right here. And I'm like, and you don't even necessarily have to leave Phoenix either. 5 minutes around the mountain from me is where I took my whole spa spacation. So
Mm.
for her, that felt really right. And that felt really doable. And that felt like a huge relief. And like it gives her that moment where she can reconnect with that feeling of being on retreat, which is what she's craving right now in the misery that she's surrounded by in these health challenges at the moment.
What
It's
I
just
like,
across the spectrum. It just depends on what the
I love,
person's going through.
I
And
love
that's
this.
the whole thing about life coaching, Prosper, is that you meet people where they are. And it's really interesting. I got your email 2 days ago about active listening. And what I embrace as a coach is active listening.
Wow.
And that is why I can meet someone where they are and we can work through the fears. We can find the desire and empowerment within, and we can get them going solo.
What I like about all of this, and thank you so much for, giving us this case study. But what I like about this is you're literally giving people back to themselves,
Thank you.
and these people had, or it's like, when Michelangelo was asked, how did you make this sculpture? All he said was, I just removed the beats that were not the sculpture. And these beats were the fear, the societal expectations, and all of those things. And the statue is that gift that you've given that girl who the dad says, this is the freshest I've ever seen you. And can you imagine having that feeling? Because your dad is usually the one person who's known you the longest. And if all that time they haven't seen that in you.
And she's very close with her father too. So for him to say that, I agree with you. And that's such a beautiful parallel that you just made with Michelangelo. Absolutely. So yes,
Absolutely.
and I'm just humbled by people wanting and willing to do the work because they get homework, and it's not the same homework for everyone. It's very unique homework. And the homework is small, doable steps for them, whether it's connecting to somebody in my network that they could reach out to about a trip to Portugal, which I have somebody doing right now, or whether it's, reaching out to somebody in my network who can provide, some health tips beyond me along their journey. Like I just want this sort of ecosystem for people to be able to tap into through 1, 2, 3 Go Solo and gain the confidence to get out there and experience their life. Like you said, giving them their life back. I'm not claiming that I'm giving them their life back because, they're giving themselves their life back,
It's that choice
right?
that they've made. Yes, yes.
Yes. And it just so happens that I happen to be the medium or the channel or the source or the pathway, however you want to put it, to get there.
Absolutely. And what would be the best way that people can maybe get a hold of you and see what it is that they can do, or how can they get started working with you?
So my website is 123gosolo.com. And I offer a 15-minute free consultation that they can schedule right through the website. And it's a are we a good fit consultation? I want them to feel that I'm a good fit for them. I also want to feel that they're a good fit for me. Like are they really wanting it? Are they wanting to do a little bit of homework? Are they wanting to connect? Are they wanting to truly get out there, whether it's, an hour and a half drive away, or it's a state away, or if it's across the pond and then another 9 hours from there, like whatever feels right for them is what I want. I don't want to feel like I'm convincing somebody to travel. I don't want to feel like I'm convincing somebody to do something. That's not who I am. I am a person who meets you where you are. I am a person who is truly authentic in how I go about life and how I go about my business and how I go about my own solo travels. That I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to help.
Absolutely. And well, helping you are, because if you're giving people not necessarily permission, but allowing them to give themselves permission to explore not only the places they're going to go to, but just themselves. Or like you're saying, that tranquil feel of, them being at a resort and it's just in a state, next door, as you have mentioned, so many of us are trapped in the lives that we're living in, not knowing that just across the road is the world.
Right. Like we see the Instagram photos and we see, like just media, like just making it like this pretty little box. And it's so far beyond that, it's whatever feeds the person. And that's what I want to help people tap into. What feeds you? And let's get you there.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we've taken a journey, I mean, from, the outskirts of the African jungle to jumping off a perfectly moving plane, and you took us to Piccadilly Circus. And, you also introduced us to the young Lisa that was taking a flight just so they could go and swim in a swimming pool.
Yeah, I just wanted to go swim in the pool in Florida.
And of all of this, if maybe you could have been that hostess on a flight, and you've just been told by Lisa's parents to look after this young traveler, what sort of words would you whisper to her just to let her know that everything is going to be okay, knowing what you know now about life?
You are safe. I have you, and you are going to have loads of fun, little girl.
Oh, wow. And I bet that's how you send off your clients when they're going 1, 2, 3, go solo.
Absolutely. And like even this person who just got back from San Francisco, like I thought about her whole trip, and knowing that she went to a Golden State Warriors game and that she was so excited about it. Prosper, I was checking the score to make sure that they were winning because I wanted her to see a win. Like that's how much I care.
Oh, fantastic. And that's remarkable just to hear. But knowing now that this is your passion and you're helping other people also unearth their own passions, what's next? What can people be excited about, moving forward? What's lined up for the 60th birthday, 70th, 80th? I mean,
oh my gosh, my husband asked me the same thing. I don't know. I said, you know what? And it's so funny because my husband very obviously gives me all the room in the world to be who I am. And I said, maybe I'll try to ride a motorcycle. And he goes, no. That's the only time he's ever said no. And we don't have anything against people who ride motorcycles or motorcycles themselves. He just thinks, I am not fit for a motorcycle.
That's where we draw the line.
Operate one.
That's where we draw the line. Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows? In this July, I'm going to go on a hot air balloon for the first time right next door in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go whitewater rafting as well. I've been on a 5-day whitewater rafting adventure. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to wherever the world feels it needs to take me. I'm going to Nicaragua this June, and I just met people through the Latin Travel Collection who are now in my network of people. I want to go to the Galapagos, and I want to go, I don't know, Peru. And yeah, I'm just ready to once again listen to the universe and follow the path, whatever it may be, and surprise myself.
Absolutely. Now, Lisa, well, I'm not gonna, be in the way of you exploring the world and being an adventurer right there.
But if
So
I make it to Australia, you better bet that we are meeting up.
I'll be there. We will actually do a jump together. Maybe that will be the
That
time.
would be amazing.
Now, I can't thank you enough for obviously sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us today, because your life story and your experience have so much value for somebody who is looking for their own personal development and their own courage. There's a lot of things that we get to hear, see, or feel around us. Whereas when we now are out there by ourselves, we'll be surprised that it's the most exhilarating experiences, that we can experience in our lives. And your story is just a testament to the transformative power that solo travel can afford somebody, and also personal courage to back yourself up so that you can be, do, and have a happy existence. So yeah, and I feel like a lot of people who don't travel much, they don't get to hear the real essence of what life is about. When you fly in a plane, they say put your mask on first, because that's when you'll be able to help all those that are around you. And if you do this for yourself, you will then be the strong pillar for the family that you so much want to look after. So Lisa, as I've said, you literally are giving people back to themselves. Don't deny that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I will take that. Thank you.
Fantastic. And for those that are listening right now, we went on a solo experience, and you obviously were watching this on your mobile device or on your computer. And I'm hoping that these experiences have actually sparked a desire in you to explore the world, even if it's just a step outside your own comfort zone. You never know what's in the next suburb, the next city. Get lost one day, just don't use the GPS to drive back home, and just wander around. You will be surprised the people, the stories that you come back with, and literally connecting with yourself a lot more. And yes, if you are also looking for more coaching when it comes to going solo, I encourage you to check out 123gosolo.com. I'll be putting all those links in the show notes below. And if somebody who's about to embark on a solo trip, why don't you share this episode with them? Maybe they might get a tip or two from Lisa, so that they are actually knowing that, they've got all the support that they need. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more inspiring stories and actionable insights. Because in our next episode, I've just been told, we're going to be diving into ideas that can lead to a happier existence. And I know that's content you don't want to miss. Until next time, bye for now.